So welcome to Southern Assault Game 2. I moved up to Table 1 after getting 16 points in my first game. For this venue, they have a cool thing where they webcast the games live, and then they also record them. So these games on Table 1 are played in a special little private room away from the main gaming area with someone sitting there and setting up the webcam so people can watch the game in progress. So a little intimidating playing with cameras on you, but it is nice to be, have your own special secret room. So I'm playing against Chin. He brought a Vampire Count's army. Again, we're being matched by comp. It's still in the first 2 rounds. However, his is a little lower than mine, so it's a 15. I have to say, for a 15, this was a really strong-looking army. I am very impressed at how he managed to get this army to be a 15. So to go through his army, first of all, he had 2 little tiny units hiding in the corner, basically for blood and glory purposes, I'm sure. Then he has a horde of ghouls, so that's a nasty combat unit in its own right. He's got 2 small chaff units of dogs, undead hounds. They've got Vanguard. Then he has a unit of Blood Knights, so I'm sure they're a comp concession there, but they're still a very scary unit and one to watch out for. They have the 4+ ward upgrade on their banner. He has a Terrorgeist, so only 1 Terrorgeist, not 2, but he still has a Terrorgeist. And then there's the Black Knight bust, so he has the 10 Black Knights. Then he has a Vampire Lord. He has a regular Vampire. Both have Always Strikes First. They're both armed to the teeth. He has a White King BSB and another Necromancer in there. So he's able to raise them like crazy. The only concessions from the Black Knight bust Death Star build really are that his Vampire Lord is only a level 3, not a level 4. And neither of the 2 vampires have Red Fury. They do both have Always Strikes First. So that is a really scary unit. That is nastier than anything that... Nothing in my army can really fight that, unless I really gang up on it. So I'm well aware of that. Okay, so this game is a meeting engagement. So that's the one with the diagonal deployment zone. I've drawn in the line where the center of the board is, roughly. And you can see after Vanguard moves, I've moved my Seekers out to the flank, and he's moved his dogs forward. So he got the first turn unless I stole the initiative, or unless I stole the initiative. And I didn't, so he was able to go first. This is just showing my deployment over on the right flank. I had a chariot just sort of stuck out there. Most of my stuff was on the left side. I had more or less done a refused flank, but I've thrown a few units over on the right. My smaller units of demonettes, my chariot, and my metal mage was over on this right-hand side. So really, I'm hoping they'll just distract him enough that I can try and divide his forces. If they don't distract him, then I can try and swing round and get behind him. So his turn 1, he's moved his dogs up. He's basically trying to jam me up as much as possible. He's able to get 1 unit of the dogs in front of my big chariot. You can just see it on the left side of the screen. He's also used the other one to block basically my 2 main infantry units from being able to charge him. I'm not sure I'd want to anyway, but my keeper could fit through that gap and charge the Black Knight bust, but I really don't think I want to pick that fight. I don't think it's one I'm going to win. And then his Terrorgeist, which came on turn 1 because it got held in reserve, just moved up. So thankfully it wasn't screaming at me turn 1. I've had some bad experiences with Terrorgeists and Demons. On the flip side, my Fiends are not on the board because I roll a 1 for them as well. So that was his turn 1. And my turn 1, several things happened here, so I'm going to go through them one by one. First of all, I declared a charge for my chariot. The chariot turned out to be 22 inches away from that Terrorgeist. So I needed a 12 to get it, but it was one of those situations where I wasn't in a really bad position if I failed it. I don't know where I was going to go if I didn't charge. I thought I might as well throw some dice, see what happens. As it happened, I did get the 2 6s, so the chariot went into the flank of that very surprised Terrorgeist. What else do we have here? So one of my demonette units charged into his dogs, trying to clear them out the way. I moved my Furies up to block his bust, so now he's not able to charge anyone but those Furies. There's no way. And then lastly, I moved my small sort of throwaway unit of Demonettes up against his Blood Knights. He's going to charge me. They're going to make a complete mess. I'm hoping they can survive with at least one model remaining. But we shall see. So, what happened over here? This is another view of the same thing. So you can see my chariot in combat with the Terrorgeist up at the top. At the bottom, you can see the big chariot has charged into those dogs. My Metal Mage has gone sliding around this building here and was able to cast Searing Doom and thin out those Blood Knights a little bit. So I think I killed 2 of those with Searing Doom. So, what happened? First of all, unsurprisingly, I killed 2 units of dogs. No big surprise to anybody there. However, what I was pleased with was that chariot that charged into the Terrorgeist there on the right-hand side of the picture. I rolled a 6 for the number of impact hits. It just destroyed the Terrorgeist, took most of its wound off, and then it crumbled. And I was very, very, very happy with that. That Terrorgeist, if it flew over and started screaming at my Greater Demon, could really kill her very quickly. That was not something I wanted to happen. Okay, so his turn. He charges a large unit of ghouls into one of my Demonette units. Nothing I can do about that, can't flee. He charged his Death Star into my Furies, so they're obviously dead as doornails, but I managed to arrange things that he wasn't going to be able to overrun into anything. So that really leaves him set up for a charge next turn if I want to. He cast Dance Macabre, I think, the one that gives him all rerolls to hit. Bubbled on everybody. He miscast it, so he took a chunk out of his own unit. So he killed a bunch of Black Knights. I was very happy with that. The only thing that was really making me sad was that big unit of ghouls was re-rolling to hit. That makes not only do they re-roll their misses, but that increases the chance of them getting poisons. That didn't make me very happy. So, unsurprisingly, the Black Knights wiped out the Furies. But as you can see, there's an awful lot less of them now after that miscast. It blew up 5 of them, I think. With the Blood Knights, I actually killed one of them with my Demonettes. In return, they killed a bunch of models, but I'm steadfast. He's not able to break my 1 rank. I passed my instability check, so I'm still there until next turn, and he's got a chariot behind him. Over here, big mess. The ghouls have just made a complete mess of my Demonettes. I only killed a handful in return. But he didn't quite kill quite enough to completely crumble that unit. So I had a BSB, I had a general. I was able to pass my instability check without losing, or at least survive it enough so there's at least 3 models left. So that means the ghouls are stuck there. They're not going anywhere for this next turn. It also means I've got a chariot facing them. I've got a unit. I can make a mess of those ghouls. So in my turn, I charged my big chariot into the front, which I was a bit nervous about. If the ghouls start hitting me, they could kill that chariot pretty quickly if it turns out to be a prolonged combat. But I can do my trick. I can charge in, challenge, force his unit champion to accept me, thank you very much, prevent his ghouls from being able to attack my chariot. So, and I also threw that second unit into their flank. Now, when I originally charged that unit, what I wanted to do was save them from the Black Knight bus. I just didn't want them to be there. So I wanted to charge in, crumble all the ghouls, overrun, and get out of their line of sight. As it happened, I cast Mind Razor on them in the magic phase, which meant that I suddenly didn't worry so much about the Black Knights. If they want to charge into a unit of Demonettes with Mind Razor on them, then go for it. The other thing that's not shown is that chariot at the back there did charge into the rear of those Blood Knights. So, the ghouls died. They had a unit of Mind Razor Demonettes in the flank, chariot in the front, made a big mess. So they crumbled completely. Now, the original plan was to get that unit to overrun away, but since they now have Mind Razor up, if he wants to charge a unit of Mind Razor Demonettes, then fine. The Seekers have moved around. I'm trying to close that trap on the Black Knights there. He doesn't have anyone to charge other than the Mindraiser Demonettes. I'm still trying to close that noose. My Fiends finally came on. This is turn 2. I forgot to bring them on turn 1 because I'm an idiot. So that's what it looks like. And he's lost everything. There's a couple of units of inconsequential skeletons in the corner. But at this point, I've cleared up everything except that one Death Star. So the question is, do I kill the Death Star? Or do I just take my points and back off? So in his turn, as you see by the excuse me, the Black Arrow, he did a sort of complicated maneuver, sort of wheeled out, turned round, and was able to get his Death Star facing the other way by the end of his move. So he was able to more or less keep most of my units in the front. So I charged him. I gave it some thought. Perhaps the sensible thing was to back off and just keep I definitely had won by that point, just keep everything else alive. I'm not very good at that. I'm always going for the big win. So I charged the Chariot in the front, unit Demonettes in the front, unit Demonettes in the side, Chariot inside, and the Greater Demon inside. Now, here's the plan. I really want to crumble his unit. That is the easiest path to victory. So, I mean, my Chariot, again, I could challenge out his Necromancer, who definitely isn't going to kill me, kill the Necromancer. Or I could challenge out his Vampire Lord. And his Vampire Lord's not in combat with anyone. He's not in base contact. So he's able to move up. If he wants to move him up and contact my Greater Demon, he can start, wailing on my Greater Demon. I don't want my Greater Demon hitting his Vampire Lord. I don't think that's going to work out well. I'd rather be killing, Black Knights that are going to get next to no save against her. So in the end, what I did was I challenged my Greater Demon. I forced his Vampire Lord into contact with her. Now, this was a challenge that she was almost certainly going to lose. I'm going to die, but just keep the Vampire Lord away from my Greater Demon and try and crumble the unit. This was, I think, his lesser vampire had a sort of anti-heroes and was getting a bucket load of attacks. So I think this was 5 attacks at this point, and rolled 5 ones. He had always strikes first. He was able to re-roll it, and even then only managed a couple of hits, but it was kind of fun seeing 5 ones and 5 dice. Sorry for the blurry picture here. So my Greater Demon my Battle Standard Bearer died to the vampire. He did a few points of overkill, which was sort of the downside of doing the challenge. And I was able to lay into his Black Knights and kill a bunch, but perhaps not as many as I would have liked. So he crumbled, and by the end of that combat, there's no in-between picture. So he crumbled. He was left with basically his 3 heroes after the first or second round of combat. Then we fought another round of combat. I'm still trying to get my Fiends in the flank. I managed to get him down to just his Vampire Lord. Then, the very last action of the game, I was able to get a Cacophonic Caress off on his Vampire, rolled some stupid number of hits on him, and killed the Vampire Lord. So that was the last of them, barring, the 2 units of skeletons off in the corner. So that was a full points victory for me, basically. I got a 16-4. I felt I was definitely lucky in a few places. That initial charge with the Chariot really helped get rid of that Terrorgeist, and that was a good first blow for me. So meanwhile, a story was unfolding that was not yet come to my attention, but it would become relevant later on. So there's a player named Daniel was playing in the tournament. It was his second tournament, so a new player. And my Warhammer club is called the Cobra Kai. So Daniel, now to be known as Daniel San, went up against his first Cobra Kai opponent, which was Ken. And Ken is a very good player. I play against him all the time. He beats me a lot. He also won the Nova Open Grand Tournament. Very serious player. And Daniel San won. So Daniel San achieved his first victory against the Cobra Kai. And his next round opponent would again be Cobra Kai and playing Jason with his vampire counts. Okay, that's the battle report. Thanks for listening.